Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Reviews. I am your host, Chris, and this, of course, is the show about all things movies and TV. Well, we jump back into the MCU with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is a rewatch. This is one of the first episodes that I did when I first started the podcast back in 2022. So it is really going to be a fun time here to revisit this movie, which I haven't seen a whole lot. I think I've seen this movie a total of 3 or 4 times since it released back in 22. I definitely haven't watched it since I did my last Marvel marathon, which was probably 3 years ago or 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And so this is definitely on the lower view count for sure when it comes to Marvel movies, but I enjoy it every time. So I'm super excited to talk about Doctor Strange breaking the multiverse once again on the show. Before we get into all that, though, a couple of reminders at the top of the episode. You can watch the show every week at youtube.com/the cinematic reviews. You can also listen to the audio version on whichever podcast network you deem worthy. You can also watch the show on Spotify now. So 2 different places to watch and whichever podcast platform you want to listen to it. Also, check out these social media pages. The show is on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, all of them. So go ahead, support the show, follow the show. I appreciate all the support so far. Posting a lot of the shorts from the Supergirl review episode, so go ahead and check those out. Also, check out the official website of the podcast, cinematic-reviews.com, where you can set up a profile and you can review movies like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. There's a popcorn rating on there. You can see the villain scale. You can test your knowledge with trivia games. You can watch the episodes and the shorts on there as well. You can rank the MCU as a franchise. You can rank your favorite actors, directors, genres, whatever you want to do. You can also check a look at the blockbuster showdowns that we've done so far on the show. Lots of stuff to do, so go ahead and set up a profile on the official website, cinematic-reviews.com. So with that, let's head over to news and reactions for one reaction. We do have one today. It's the newest Netflix comedy film starring John Cena and Eric Andre, Little Brother. So let's go talk about Little Brother. So like I said, Little Brother is the newest Netflix original comedy film starring John Cena and Eric Andre. It centers around John Cena's character who is auditioning for this reality show, and he is reconnected with his little brother back in the Big Brother, Little Brother program, played by Eric Andre, who plays Marcus. John Cena plays Rudd. Rudd is also a real estate agent on the side, starting his own business as well. His brother Josh, played by Christopher Meloni, who is the really only reason why I watched this movie. Also, Michelle Monaghan's in here as John Cena's wife, who I absolutely love. I'm not the biggest fan of John Cena or Eric Andre, so this movie definitely wasn't for me. But when I saw that it was starring Christopher Meloni as well, who probably best known him as Detective Stabler from Law & Order SVU, and I think Organized Crime as well, the spinoff from it. So he was the real reason why I watched this. It's an okay comedy. It's not my favorite. I think it's actually not that great. I did manage to give it 2 popcorns on the popcorn rating. I really wanted to give it 1, but with Christopher Meloni scenes in there, I did enjoy it a little bit more, so I did give it 2. The scene where, and it's been going around social media now, so I can kind of reveal this scene. Christopher Meloni ends up getting a tracheotomy from John Cena after swallowing, I think, a peanut or some giant grape or something. I don't remember. Marcus, yeah, it was actually Marcus. It wasn't John Cena. It was Eric Andre's character. Had to give him a tracheotomy. And then he ends up at the last part of the movie with one of those voice box speaker things. So he's holding it up to his neck and he's got the robot voice. And it's supposed to be a touching moment between him and John Cena, realizing, oh no, I've been jealous of you the whole time, even though John Cena has been jealous of his rich, successful brother. Didn't really work for me. It was supposed to be a big emotional moment in the movie. Just didn't really hit me at all. Didn't really care for much of the jokes in this movie. There was a couple of funny scenes like the robot voice with the voice box enhancer. There's a few shenanigans that goes on during this reality show that they're starring in. But other than that, I just kind of got bored of this movie. Didn't really think it was all that funny. I've said this numerous times on the show as well. I'm not a John Cena fan as an actor. Not really a fan of him during his wrestling career either. I mean, he was entertaining enough for me to tune into his matches, but him as an actor, there's maybe one or two movies that I actually enjoyed him in. Probably trying to think of one at the top of my head. I mean, Blockers, he was pretty funny in Blockers as one of the dads in there. And then, I mean, Heads of State was fine. The Amazon Prime show that he starred alongside Idris Elba. But yeah, just not a big fan of John Cena. So right off the bat, I wasn't going to be really into this. But I watched it just to say I can. And so I could talk about it here. It looks like quite a few people do enjoy it. There's a few decently positive reviews. But mine, I just not into it. It's just another comedy that John Cena has done that you can just kind of put it in the back of your brain and really forget about it. But if you are a fan of John Cena, or if you're a fan of anybody else involved in the cast, or if you're just looking for something new to watch, check out Little Brother on Netflix right now. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive into our featured film of the day, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Check out the official website of the podcast at www.cinematic-reviews.com. Simply set up a profile, start reviewing your favorite movies and TV shows. There are a ton of fun things to do on the website. You can use the popcorn rating system that I use on the show by selecting a movie or TV show from the library. You can rank your favorite franchises like Marvel or Star Wars. You can even test your knowledge with some fun trivia games. There are a lot more features like checking out all the blockbuster showdowns and best in shows that I have done on the episodes. And speaking of episodes, you can watch the show directly on the website. So start reviewing today by setting up a profile at cinematic-reviews.com, and I will see you all at the movies.
Your desecration of reality will not go unpunished. We should tell him the truth. Things just got out of hand.
You break the rules. Look out! You become a hero. I do it, and I become the enemy. It doesn't seem fair.
So, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out back in May 6, 2022. Wow, it's been 4 years already. This was one of the first new releases that I did on the show back when it was just an audio podcast. So it's fun now to actually do it on video, finally. But yes, May 6, 2022 is when this film came out. And we haven't seen Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange since. So I'm very curious to see what they do with him in Doomsday and beyond. I really like Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange. I really liked the first Doctor Strange movie. I did like this one as well. But yeah, curious to see what they do with the Strange character going forward in the MCU. Benedict Cumberbatch is getting older, so eventually they will phase him out, just like the other Avengers. But we'll see what he does in Doomsday. Looking at the budget, a whopping $414 million for the budget. I think when I was researching this, the actual production budget was like $350 million of that. So I'm assuming they're going to mix in the marketing with this. And then it grossed $955 million. So just shy of $1 billion. So it definitely made more than double its money. So they considered it a success, even though this is one that I remember everybody just shitting on, just review bombing, just really pissed off that it was just fan service, that they showed the Illuminati and it just like killed them off right away. It was just, universe hopping. There was really no story to it. It got pretty much annihilated in reviews, but I really liked it. Now, it's not the best Marvel movie. When we get to the rankings later in the episode, it's kind of middle of the pack for me. But I still really enjoy it, even though I've only seen it 3 or 4 times. I've enjoyed it more every single time I've rewatched it. I definitely like it the most now after this most recent rewatch for today's episode. To give you a brief synopsis, if you haven't seen it in a while, if you haven't seen it at all, basically centers around Doctor Strange teaming up with a mysterious teenager named America Chavez, who has the power to jump between universes on a whim. She cannot control it very well. She only is able to activate these powers when she's scared, until she learns to control it a little bit by Doctor Strange's guidance and mentoring, and then eventually she joins Comitage and starts to develop some more control and skills with her powers. Basically, so Scarlet Witch, played by Elizabeth Olsen once again, is trying to take America's powers from her and use it for her own advantage so that she can see her kids again. And so Scarlet Witch is the villain in this film. Doctor Strange must team up with America Chavez to stop Wanda from destroying the multiverse. In the meantime, Benedict ends up meeting a few of his other multiverse selves as Doctor Strange. Some not so nice, some okay. And that's when he stumbles across another universe, I believe it's 838 or something like that, where he is introduced to the Illuminati. He visits a Christine variant in that universe. So it's a lot of universe hopping and just different sceneries and different variants of characters that we've known to love. We're going to dive really deep into the Illuminati here in a second once we go through all the cast, because that is a big chunk of this movie, and it's probably my favorite part of this movie is when we get introduced to the Illuminati and their fight against Wanda. But that just kind of gives you a brief synopsis if you haven't seen Doctor Strange in a while or haven't seen it at all. It's been long enough, so I'm going to spoil a bunch of this stuff anyway. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie. It's actually pretty good. I enjoy it every time I get a chance to watch it. There's a lot of cool fan service stuff. I mean, I'm not against fan service. You got to get butts and seats. You got to make it enjoyable for the hardcore fans, but also introduce new things to fans that aren't too familiar with Marvel or superhero movies and are just looking for a new action movie to watch, But fan service, I think, is a good thing. It gets those hardcore fans very excited like me. So I'm all for what they did with Illuminati and the different characters that they chose to introduce and who they got to play. Wink, wink, Reed Richards, we're going to talk about him for sure, because that was a casting that I totally wanted, and it happened. Anyways, so let's get to the cast here real quick, and then we'll dive into some of the other notes. So like I said, Benedict Cumberbatch returns as Dr. Stephen Strange. I really like Cumberbatch as Strange in this universe. I like him in this movie. He's really good. He's kind of the mentor again to America Chavez, similar to what he was the last time we saw him in Spider-Man No Way Home, where he was the mentor to Peter. It's funny now watching this after No Way Home, where he's like constantly telling Peter, hey, I know you're just a kid, but quit breaking the multiverse, quit breaking these spells. And then here he comes in his own movie and starts breaking the multiverse and breaking all these rules. So it's kind of a hypocrite, but I get that he's doing it in the best way possible. But it's funny to me to see that he lectured Peter in No Way Home to quit breaking the multiverse, and then he has his own multiverse movie where it totally annihilates the multiverse while meeting a bunch of variants and things like that. But I love Benedict Cumberbatch as Strange. At this point, we've had him as Doctor Strange, I think it was 2016, 2017 is when his first movie came out. So we're at about 10 years of Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, and I can't think of anybody else to play him. He is fantastic, and it's going to be a sad day when eventually they phase him out and we no longer have Benedict in the MCU. America Chavez, like I said, her power is the universe hop. I recognize the name for some of the comics and video games that they've released over the years, but I never really knew a whole lot about her. All I knew is that she had these special abilities to universe hop, and that it makes sense to introduce her in here. Since this is a multiverse movie. And I like the effect of her power where it's the giant star, but as you go inward, it's more stars on top of each other. It's a really cool effect that they did to design the portal that they jump through. Very different than the portal that Stephen Strange summons with his sling ring. I do like the CGI that went into her power effect. And I think she doesn't get a whole lot to do. Once Stephen Strange is kind of the forefront, it's his movie. I do hope we get to see America Chavez again, but we'll see. We haven't seen her since 2022. For all we know, she's still at Comitage, learning how to be a master of the mystical arts and controlling her powers. I do hope we get to see her again because I did enjoy her. Christine, played once again by Rachel McAdams. Talked about her a lot on the first Doctor Strange episode. But she's really great in here. She's playing double duty this time. We have the 616 Christine, who we get to see a little bit. She's getting married. That's kind of where the movie opens, is Steven at her wedding. But then we get the chunk of her time in that 838 universe, where she's a part of the Illuminati and she is a head of the Multiverse program, kind of preserving and protecting the multiverse and this sacred timeline or whatever. And this is where her and Strange get to team up, go on a couple of adventures, and kind of reconcile their feelings for each other. One of my favorite lines in here, we'll get it to favorite quotes, is from Steven, and it took him this long to admit it to her, and I really, really like the quote. It's one of my favorites. Wong, played by Benedict Wong, is back. He gets somewhat of a good amount of screen time in here. He is now the Sorcerer Supreme after Benedict was blipped from the Thanos snap. So he kind of, how does he put it? It's kind of a technicality that Wong got the Sorcerer Supreme spot, but I think it suits him. Stephen Strange is more of an Avenger than he is Sorcerer Supreme, so I think it makes sense for Wong to kind of take over. Plus, it gets Wong something to do. He has all the knowledge, he has all the skills. Put him in that position to protect Comitage and all the other sanctums. But he's great. I love seeing Wong. We're going to see him again pop up in She-Hulk, I believe. He's been kind of the link that connects all these universes together. We saw him in Shang-Chi. Of course, he was in Endgame and Infinity War, and then, of course, the first Doctor Strange movie. So he's been in multiple projects, and I love seeing him for sure. No Way Home, can't forget about him in Spider-Man. Wanda, aka Scarlet Witch, is the villain. She's once again played by Elizabeth Olsen. She's great in here. I really like her in WandaVision. I think WandaVision is still her best performance, but I think this is very close second to my second favorite performance of her as Wanda. She's really good in here as the villain. This is like what the true nature of the character is a villain. I remember the cartoons and the comics. She was kind of this on the verge of villainliness. So it's great to see her, and in general, it's great to see like an Avenger become a villain. And I'm really curious to see if they do end up bringing her back. At the end of this movie, it's kind of left in the limbo. Like, did she die when the temple place crashed on her? Did she teleport out of there? There's that red poof of mist that came underneath the rocks where she was standing. So I like to think that she survived and just kind of vanished. But Elizabeth Olsen has kind of gone on record in an interview stating that she doesn't know her place in the MCU right now. She doesn't know if she's coming back. She doesn't know if she's done. I hope she comes back. I really do like her as Wanda. I know my sister absolutely loves her. I think that's her favorite MCU character still. But she was terrific in this, and we're going to talk about her more when we get to that villain scale. And lastly for the cast is the Illuminati. So we have Mordo, who is the variant of him, Black Bolt, Captain Carter, who is the Captain America variant, played by Peggy Carter, Captain Marvel, but this time it's Maria Rambeau, Monica Rambeau's mother from the Captain Marvel movie. She is Captain Marvel in this universe. Reed Richards, played by John freaking Krasinski, who I absolutely love. This was basically Marvel saying, okay, we hear you fans. You know, you want John Krasinski, so here's a Reed Richards variant. Now, of course, Pedro Pascal is the main timeline's Reed Richards, but it's cool to see John Krasinski in a Marvel movie. And then Charles Xavier, played once again by the only Patrick Stewart. Glad to see him in his comic accurate outfit with the green suit, the yellow floating chair. I mean, John Krasinski looked a lot like the comic versions too. I really liked his suit in here. I like I can't remember what the device is called, but it's like a teleportation device that he stole from Doctor Doom, which was really a nice wink for those that know that fact about it. But the Illuminati is really, really cool. I really like those scenes in particular is my favorite part. I don't want to jump onto iconic scenes too quickly, but I do like the Illuminati in here, and I like the characters that he chose, like Black Bolt. We've only seen him in the Inhumans TV show back in the day on like ABC or whatever. I never really watched it, but Black Bolt is part of the Inhumans part of the Marvel universe. But yeah, it was great to see Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter, but this time as Captain Carter, which then we see her again in the What If animated series, which is really cool. But it's cool to see her in live action. She was really great, especially when she fights Wanda. It's really, really awesome. So that is the cast. Not too big of a cast list for a movie that spans, I think they jump between like 20 plus different universes, but they kind of just interchange characters. So it's not a huge cast list, which I appreciate. Multiverse storyline continues. So we're in the phase 4, and this is the big multiverse saga, 4, 5, and phase 6. We'll see if Secret Wars actually ends the multiverse. That's what Kevin Feige has hinted at, that phase 6 will end with Secret Wars, and that'll end the multiverse saga, and then we'll get into the mutant saga with the X-Men in phase 7 and beyond. But with Doctor Strange, we're continuing the multiverse storyline here. Then I think the biggest multiversal movie after this would probably be Ant-Man and the Wasp, because I don't remember Thor really universe hopping in that one. And then we get, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine, but that's a little later. That's a big multiverse movie as well. But yeah, I think after this, it's pretty much Quantumania. But this is a great multiverse movie. The storyline, I agree with a lot of the other fans. There really isn't much of a story to sink our teeth into. It's basically just protecting America Chavez from Wanda, from sucking her powers out, which would eventually kill her. So, I mean, it's kind of a cut and dry, basic formula movie. America Chavez is the MacGuffin, and they must protect her. But I still enjoy it, even though you would expect a multiversal movie as big as this to have a bigger story, I guess. But I enjoy it for what it is. I'm not going to nitpick it too much. Because this was kind of the phase of Marvel where they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And I suppose they were like, well, we need Doctor Strange. We need to catch up with him. We need a multiverse movie to kind of keep this multiverse train going. So they kind of just like, okay, what's a character we haven't introduced yet? America Chavez. She can universe jump. Let's just pull her in there. Who's a fan favorite that everybody loves? Let's bring Scarlet Witch back. Let's make her a villain because she wants to see her sons again after the death of Vision. But the story, I think the story for Wanda is much more compelling than the actual overall Doctor Strange story. Like, I'm much more invested in Wanda's story. Like, in WandaVision, she basically made up her kids in the Hex in Westview. Come to find out that was all fake, but she can still hear them. But that's because she's listening to them in a different universe where she actually has kids. So she's trying to get there and be able to have her kids back in a way. So I'm more invested in that on like a mother to children aspect versus like not really too much invested in the Doctor Strange part of a Doctor Strange movie, which is why this isn't one of the better Marvel movies. That's kind of middle of the pack because of that aspect, that I'm more invested in Wanda's story than Doctor Strange in his own movie, if that makes any sense. Speaking of Doctor Strange, what is the future of him? Well, he is confirmed to show up in Doomsday. I'm assuming he'll show up in Secret Wars. Will we get a Doctor Strange 3? I believe so. I believe that they're currently working on that one right now. Let me see if there's any last minute headlines here. Because last I remember was Cumberbatch did say that they were doing a third movie. Okay, so 2 days ago we have a development update, and it is not good apparently. Let's see what it is. Isn't a priority for Marvel, according to a new report. Shocker. They're probably going to start phasing him out for sure, even though this one kind of sets up a third movie, really, with that post-credit scene with Charlize Theron showing up. And he has the third eye, so I wonder if that's going to play more into Doomsday and Secret Wars than an actual Doctor Strange 3 movie. So it sounds like it's up in the air right now for Doctor Strange 3, but he will return for Doomsday for sure. Maybe they end up killing him off in Doomsday, or maybe they'll bring him back for Secret Wars. But I hope they don't kill him off, period. Like, I want Doctor Strange 3. I want him in these Avengers movies. I want him in other movies teaming up with other people like Spider-Man. But only time will tell. So it sounds like Doctor Strange isn't really a priority according to Marvel. So we'll see. All right, let's head to the categories today, and then we'll wrap things up with the rankings. So iconic scenes. There's a lot of scenes in here, but I cut it down to 5. Wanda revealing she is the villain. This is a really good moment. So the trailers kind of spoiled this, so you knew this was coming, but it's still really cool as, you know, Wanda was like being helpful to Strange. He's like, oh, well, this could mean this, it could mean that. And then Strange catches her in a lie, and she goes, you never told me her name, did you? And he goes, nope. And she goes, well, I guess the jig is up. I am the villain, motherfucker. So it's a pretty cool reveal where they're in this little garden setting, and then it all turns into that red, you know, mystical power effect that she has, and it reveals where they actually are. But that was a pretty cool scene. Strange meeting the Illuminati. This is very iconic, where we get introduced to Moto, who then brings him to the Illuminati. Like I said, Captain Carter, Black Bolt, Captain Marvel, Professor X. Wow, Reed Richards. Wow, totally blanked there. But yeah, it's a really awesome scene where he's in the cuffs. He's led into by the Ultron bots, which is actually who Tony Stark, I believe, if I remember my comic book lore right, he's the one that took the Ultron bots, or the Avenger bots, or whatever they are, and made them guardians of the Illuminati, I guess. So that was kind of like a fan service moment there, too. In the comics, speaking of Tony Stark is actually a part of the Illuminati in the comics. It really sucks that there wasn't a Tony Stark variant. It seems like Marvel's very hesitant in doing any type of Tony Stark variant after his death in Endgame, as respect for Robert Downey Jr. But this would have been awesome if they did get a Tony Stark variant and he was the leader of the Illuminati in this universe. But I totally understand it. You know, his death in Endgame was a huge moment, not just in comic book movie history, but in just movie history in general. But I totally respect their decision not to do any Tony Stark variants. But at the same time, it's like, this would have been awesome if they got a Tony Stark variant, because he's a part of it. And I believe Bruce Banner is a part of the Illuminati, as well as Doctor Strange and Reed Richards, of course. It's like the smartest brains in the planet or the universe formed the Illuminati. Kind of like their version of the Avengers, so to speak. Kind of like an offshoot of the Avengers, I guess. Anyways. But that would have been cool if we had Tony Stark in here, but I totally get it out of respect for Robert Downey. But it's cool to see the characters that they chose. Like, seeing Professor X was awesome, and his comic accurate outfit. Reed Richards, played by John Krasinski, which is what everybody wanted, who I wanted. But we got Pedro. Pedro's really good too, though. And then the next scene, Wanda killing the Illuminati. This got bloody real fast, and this is where you know this is a true Sam Raimi movie, is when this scene happens. So you get Wanda showing up at the Illuminati compound. Reed Richards and the rest of the gang go up there and he goes, hey, Wanda, I understand what you're doing. You know, I have kids of my own. And she's like, well, is their mother still alive? And he goes, yeah. Well, then you don't know my pain because their father's dead. So she tears him apart. He looks like spaghetti after she's done with him. Like, the way that they did this effect was they lifted John Krasinski up in the air and they just pulled him apart like string cheese. And then they popped his head like a balloon. He doesn't get a whole lot to do in this movie, and he's killed very violently. But before they do that, I believe it's Black Bolt. She ends up erasing his mouth from his face. And if you don't know Black Bolt's powers, his speak can just basically annihilate you. Which reminds me, we need to talk about their Doctor Strange, because I don't want to forget about that. But anyway, so his power is like he just talks, and he just annihilates you into oblivion. So what she does is she closes his mouth, and he's freaking out. Like, okay, so you're Black Bolt, and this is kind of the issue I have here with his character. If you're Black Bolt and you know what your power is, why would you freak out that you have no mouth? And why wouldn't you have self-control to not speak then? Because what happens is he's like, oh shit, and it blows up his inside of his head, and he dies. Like, come on, you've had these powers, I'm sure, for a while. I'm sure there's a way that they can get your mouth back. They can reverse the spell or whatever it is. Or if you kill Wanda, the mouth is probably magically back. But the fact that he freaks out shows that he's a lame-ass superhero, and I don't know. It was kind of lazy writing on that part. But anyways, then we get to the Reed Richards death. Then we get into the rest of the deaths with Captain Carter being cut in half by her own shield, which is fucked up. And then Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel, she just gets squashed by a fucking statue. Like, that's kind of bullshit, but whatever. I like this scene for the action and the gore, but it is kind of lazy writing on how they killed them. And then Professor X probably has one of the gnarlier deaths. Well, aside from well, they all kind of have gnarly deaths, but his is pretty bad too, where he goes inside Wanda's brain or mind and tries to pull the Wanda that she's possessing from another universe. But Wanda and Scarlet Witch ends up grabbing him and breaking his neck within that mind trip, and so he's dead right there. Pretty violently. And it came out of nowhere. It's like, oh shit, she just killed Professor X. It's pretty fucked up that she killed Patrick Stewart. Anyways, I'm going to revert back to the Illuminati. So, Dr. Stephen Strange was a part of this Illuminati. When they fought Thanos, he had the Darkhold, which is what Wanda is trying to get her hands on so that she can be with her boys again. Well, he ends up using the Darkhold to kill Thanos. Well, then he's affected, and they must kill him to preserve the rest of the universe. So Black Bolt annihilates their Stephen Strange, and they hide this. It's propaganda, so to speak. They tell the world that he died fighting Thanos, but in reality, he killed Thanos, but they just didn't like the way he did it, so they offed him because he was a danger to the rest of the world. But to the rest of the world, he is a hero who died fighting Thanos. Kind of fucked up, and that's kind of what Stephen Strange thinks as well. Anyways, I digress. Wanda killing the Illuminati is one of the iconic scenes. Next, Strange fighting Sinister Strange in a music note battle. Now, I didn't know his name was actually Sinister Strange until I did research for the episode today. But that is what they're referring to, that last variant of Strange that we meet at the end of the movie. And they do this musical note battle, which is fucking ridiculous, and I wish they would have did something else. But it's pretty cool to see Cumberbatch versus Cumberbatch in this fight of morality or whatever, just with musical notes. It's ridiculous, but I do like the fight itself. And then Strange posing as Dead Strange, who is the first variant in the movie that we're introduced to. The dead body of that variant ends up getting sucked into the main 616 timeline, and Strange uses the Darkhold to possess that dead body, which forces Wanda to be calling him a hypocrite because he is doing what he told her not to do. So same thing with Peter and Strange. You know, it's do as I say, not as I do. So I think at the end of the day, if you're going to take anything from this episode today, Doctor Strange is a hypocrite. And I know he's got good intentions at heart. But he's kind of a hypocrite. Like, Wanda's not wrong. He is a hypocrite. And at the end of the movie, that's where you see he has the third eye because he is now infected with the Darkhold. And, well, maybe he ends up being the villain in Doctor Strange 3 if they do make that movie. Anyways, the most iconic scene for me is probably Wanda killing the Illuminati. Every time I hear the title Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I think of John Krasinski getting pulled apart like string cheese. I think of Black Bolt blowing up his own head. I think of Peggy Carter, or Captain Carter, excuse me, getting cut in half by her own shield. That's the scene I think of the most when I hear the title Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Feel free to comment below what your most iconic scene is from Doctor Strange 2. I only had one let's fucking go moment, and that is when John Krasinski shows up as Reed Richards and Patrick Stewart shows up as Charles Xavier. That was like, let's fucking go. We finally get two characters that we've been wanting in the same room together. And of course, John Krasinski joining the MCU, which is awesome, even though it was very, very brief. Favorite quotes. Charles Xavier, just because somebody stumbles and loses their way doesn't mean they're lost forever. Dr. Stephen Strange, I love you in every universe. This is the line that I was talking about that I really love. Pun intended. When he's speaking to Rachel McAdams and he's like, hey, what happens with us in this universe? She goes, well, we never really figured it out. What about you and your universe? Yeah, about the same. We never really figured it out. And that's when he finally admits, you know, I love you in every universe. I was scared to love you. And it finally professes his love for Christine. And I really like that line. I love you in every universe. Because he does. He loves her in every one. Every universe they meet a new Strange in, he admits that Christine was the love of his life. And it's true. She is. Dr. Nick West, the best surgeon and the best superhero, but you still didn't get the girl. Okay, I've been waiting to talk about this. Dr. Nick West is a piece of shit. So this line right here, I wrote this down. It's a favorite quote because it reminds me of how much I fucking hate this Dr. West character. And the fact that he has the balls to talk to an Avenger and say, hey, you're the best surgeon in the world. You're a fucking superhero. And you still didn't get the girl. How about that, motherfucker? I really wish Doctor Strange would have fucking ripped his insides out and shoved them down a toilet. You know, Dr. Nick West is a piece of shit. And I'm going to leave it at that. Another quote by Doctor Strange, dreams are windows into the lives of our multiversal selves. This is a really cool concept. The fact that dreams are windows into our variants. That's really cool concept. I wish they would have dived more into that one, where he's having these nightmares, but we only get one scene of it. Like, I would have liked more of this, where he's dreaming and he's thinking about, and he's seeing parts of these universes, and then he's going to go to those universes. Like, and then, I didn't include this one, but Sinister Strange has a line where he goes, you ever get those dreams where you're falling off a building? That was probably me. Because Sinister Strange is killing off of these Strange so that he could be the only one. Reminds you of a movie called The One. If you ever seen The One with Jet Li and Jason Statham, where he universe hops and kills himself so that he's the only one in the multiverse. That's kind of where they're taking this from, was Sinister Strange wants to be the one. And he's going around killing all these Stranges. And that's where he's having these, our Doctor Strange is having these dreams, and he's looking into the multiverse. And that's a really cool concept. I wish I would have dived more into that. And then this one from Wanda, you break the rules and become a hero. I do it, and I become the enemy. That doesn't seem fair. That was the trailer line, and I really, really like it. My favorite quote's probably, like I said, I love you in every universe. It's just a really good line. Fun facts. There's not too many fun facts, actually, today. There's only a few. Benedict Cumberbatch revealed in an interview that Benedict Wong broke about 4 ribs when he slammed into something during a stunt. Benedict Cumberbatch also grew out Doctor Strange's goatee for real in this film, rather than merely putting a fake one on as seen in his previous appearances. I like it when they actually grow the hair out, even though you can't really tell that it's a fake one in those movies, but I appreciate the commitment. The action that explodes on the streets of New York was filmed on an elaborate soundstage in England because Sam Raimi and others couldn't go to the actual New York City due to the pandemic. Marvel paid for the construction of nearly 4 city blocks. No wonder this fucking budget was outrageous. They built an entire city. And then the costume designer was a hardcore X-Men fan, and so he found a green suit for Professor X that was the exact shade needed to be accurate. He also found the perfect tie. Again, I appreciate the commitment. It's the little details. So yeah, I do like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Of course, I do have some issues. I wish the story would have been a little bit different. I wish they would have focused more on, dreams being windows into the multiverse. That's a really cool concept. Wish they would have expanded on that more. I'm more interested in Wanda's story than actually Doctor Strange's story, which is weird because this is a Doctor Strange movie. But I do really like Wanda as a villain. She did a great job. We're going to talk about her in a few seconds here during the villain scale. I like the Illuminati stuff. I get it's fan service, but that's the shit that I enjoy the most. Give us stuff to get hyped about. Give us those let's fucking go moments, and that is exactly what it was when John Krasinski came on screen as Reed Richards. Patrick Stewart returned as Professor X. Now, Sam Raimi, we haven't talked about Sam Raimi. I do love him as a director. He, of course, probably most famous for directing the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy. So he is no stranger to the Marvel universe. But I think I like Derrickson's first movie better. Now granted that was more of an origin story, so there was kind of more to be desired. This one, I like the horror aspect from Sam Raimi because that's what we're going to get with the Sam Raimi movie. That's his bread and butter, is the horror scare element, and you could definitely see that in the Illuminati killing scene. And then everything with Wanda is very horrific because that's his style. But I do like what Sam Raimi did with this one. I'm not sure if I want another one by Sam Raimi though. It's cool that we got this. And I love Sam Raimi. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm saying here. I think I like Derrickson's a little bit better because I like that first movie a lot, and there was some really cool aspects in that movie that I really liked that I wish would have been carried over more. And the fact that Sam Raimi didn't watch WandaVision I don't like hearing that when I'm researching these movies, that the director didn't do his homework as well. Like, I wish... That's the only gripe I have with the Wanda character, is that I wish there would have been more of a WandaVision tied in. But that explains it, that Sam Raimi didn't do his homework and watch that, even though this is pretty much a sequel from WandaVision and Spider-Man. Like, if he didn't watch WandaVision, I don't think he... Well, he might have watched Spider-Man No Way Home because Tobey was in it. But still, do your homework, man. But I do appreciate what he gave us with this movie. Sam Raimi is a very talented director. I don't know if I want another one from him exactly. But Danny Elfman coming back for the music was great. I love Danny Elfman. He, of course, did the Maguire music in the Spider-Man trilogy with Raimi. So they're buds. I love hearing the Danny Elfman composers as a composer on a movie. But yeah, Sam Raimi, love the guy as a director, love the guy as a person. I just don't know if I want another one from him like this. We'll see, though. So yeah, I still like it. We'll talk a little bit more about what I dislike a little bit when we get to the popcorn rating here. So let's just jump right into the rankings. So as a reminder, you can set up a profile on the official website, cinematic-reviews.com, and you can rank the MCU franchise. So I'm going to pull that up here, and we're going to get to the ranking of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Sitting at number 30. So looking at what's right below it, Loki at 31, Avengers Age of Ultron at 32, Black Widow at 33, Iron Man 2 at 34, Captain America, the First Avenger at 35. Sitting right above it, Werewolf by Night, 29. Thor, Love and Thunder at 28. Moon Knight at 27, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special at 26, and The First Avengers at 25. So kind of in the middle of the pack here. Like I said, you know, it's really good. I like it. It's just it's missing some things. Like the story probably could have focused on something differently. Not that I'm against America Chavez, but I just feel like they could have did something a little bit different with Doctor Strange's storyline. I like the Wanda story. I'm more invested into that one. Wanda is what really holds this movie up for me. And then, of course, the Illuminati stuff. Like, if you take out the Illuminati, you take out Wanda as the villain, and just put some other generic multiversal villain in there, this movie isn't but anywhere near how good it is. So those two aspects for me are what really hold this movie up. Granted, yes, it's Benedict's performance as Doctor Strange. I just feel like the story for him needs to be reworked a little bit. You know, and I love America Chavez being introduced in there. It makes sense to put her in there. But just kind of shift the story a little bit. You know, rewrite it a little bit. That's just what did it for me. So number 30 is where Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness lands. Villain scale. So Scarlet Witch is the villain in this film. As a reminder, we'll talk about the motivation by the villain, the costume, and the performance by the actor. So Elizabeth Olsen did a fantastic job as Scarlet Witch. I loved her in this movie as Scarlet Witch. She did a fantastic job. Vested in her story. You feel her pain, but you're also like, come on, Wanda, let's be reasonable here. So you're kind of rooting for her, you're kind of not rooting for her. But I'm invested in her, so I liked her a lot in here. Her performance was great. Like I said, it's probably second best to her performance in WandaVision. That'll still always be my favorite Wanda. She does a fantastic job in that show. But she does a really, really good job here as a villain. Costume. I like the costume. It's kind of like an updated, darker version of the suit that she gets at the end of WandaVision. I really like her outfit in here. It's really, really cool. And very comic accurate, almost, to like a T. It's really good. And then the motivation. Well, she's trying to be with her boys. Like, that's a really good connecting story for a lot of people. Like, as a parent or as somebody that has any relationship with kids or a family member, like, I would rip open the fucking multiverse for many of my kids or any of my family members. Like, I totally feel her pain. So I love the motivation behind her. Her story was great. I don't think I would change really anything except for the ending. I would have not have left it in limbo. I would have said you either killed her or we're going to keep her going. And I wish they keep her more going in the MCU, but we'll see. I don't like they kind of left it in limbo. I want Elizabeth Olsen back as Scarlet Witch. She's really good. But that's the only negative I really have with her story or motivation, is the ending just kind of leaves you in limbo on where the character is now. But with all that said, I am giving her 5 Thanos heads. She is a really good villain in here. I love what they did with her. Fantastic. One of the best parts in this movie for sure. Popcorn rating. I'm giving this 4 popcorns because, like I said a little bit before, the story for Doctor Strange just wasn't up there for me. It needs to be a little bit more. It needs to be on the level like Wanda's story is. We need something. You need like saving Christine, or you need the stakes a little bit higher. Not that America Chavez's life doesn't matter. It's just you need something more. It's just missing something from the story. And Sam Raimi as the director, I'm still kind of on the fence. I love him as a director. I love his style. It's just, I don't know. I feel like he kind of missed a little bit here. You know, he didn't do his homework. He just kind of a mess a little bit. But for all that said, I do still like this movie a lot. I like it more and more as I rewatch it. But I'm going to stick with 4 popcorns here. It's still a great movie. Great MCU movie. Great installment to this massive, massive universe that Kevin Feige is building. It's just it didn't quite get up there. You know, the trailers really hyped this to be a really awesome movie. They got a really awesome director, Sam Raimi, coming in, you know, throwing in a little bit of a horror factor to it, which is great. It's just kind of didn't live up to what I was hoping it would be. So for popcorns, it's still really good. It's a great movie. Can't wait to rewatch this more. I need to give more rewatches to this because 3 or 4 times is not going to cut it for a massive movie like this is. There's a lot of stuff in there. They throw a lot at you, and that's probably kind of why you get this feeling of it's a little bit messy. It's a little all over the place. But 4 popcorns is what I'm giving it today. Well, that's going to do it for this week's Marvel episode. Next week, let's take a look at the schedule. Miss Marvel. So we're going to dive into Disney Plus series again with Miss Marvel. And then after that, we're going to tackle Thor, Love and Thunder, another rewatch on the show. Then She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, going back into the TV series. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And then we'll do a double feature for the special Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. We'll do in one episode since they're really, really short. And we don't need to dedicate an entire episode for each. And that'll pretty much wrap up Phase 4. So then we'll dive into Phase 5 with Ant-Man Quantumanium. So a bunch of Marvel coming up in preparation for Avengers Doomsday, which comes out on December 18th of 2026. Also, we'll be kicking off the Spider-Man event leading up into Spider-Man Brand New Day. So we'll start with the Tobey trilogy. We'll dive into the Andrew Garfield double feature. Since we already did Tom Holland during this MCU marathon, we won't do that. But then we'll, of course, do Brand New Day when that comes out on July 31st. We're almost there. Spider-Man comes out this month. I can finally say it. It comes out this month. So excited. It's my most anticipated film of the year. Very, very excited for the next Spider-Man. Also, tomorrow, happy early July 4th to everybody. We will be releasing the Top Gun double feature in celebration of 250 years of the USA on July 4th. So those episodes will drop tomorrow, sometime, mid-morning, early afternoon. So go ahead, if you have time, check out those episodes when they drop tomorrow. With that, if you don't watch any of the episodes this weekend, enjoy your holiday weekend. Be safe, but have fun. And we'll see you all next time on the show.